We do have our first guest, that is Peter Mucendu. He's a governance expert and a board member at KOTDA Technopolis, right?
Yes.
Digital. What is the full name?
It's known as KOTDA Technopolis Development Authority.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
You were just telling me something beautiful about where KOTDA imefikia sasa hivi.
Yes.
For the sake of the listener,
yes.
KOTDA mnafanya nini?
One, KOTDA, we have a few responsibility given by the president and as established by the legal notice that brought about KOTDA. We are building a digital media and economic driven city.
Yes.
It's touching on 3 counties past Machakos Junction. On your way just before you get to Malili,
yes.
The town Malili.
I'd actually drive there almost every weekend.
Yes. KOTDA is a mastered 5,000 acres new city that will be 100% be driven by technology.
Okay.
We have mastered the entire 5,000 and we have divided it into different units and parts. As you're driving along Mombasa Road, that area that you see along the road, it is our commercial band. Then after commercial band, we have the technology band. From the technology band, we go to the residential band, moving from the densely populated, going down that way to the low dense population.
Okay.
Then after the residential band, you have what is known as the education band. This is now carrying universities. And for your information,
yes.
we are now home to the only all-graduate university in Kenya, the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology.
Okay.
Fully complete and done. We are waiting for charter next month by the president. He's going to come to charter it. This will be the first all-graduate science university in the country. It is formulated, for those who be interested, you can Google the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. In fact, the funding has come from Korea to do the same.
Wow.
So we will be having the president, our president and the president of Korea come to do the charter in that university.
They will be.
Yes, they
president
will be
wa South Korea anakuja Kenya.
Anakuja Kenya to come and help us because they have been able to help us fund that university. We have open university that is domiciled at KOTDA.
Yes.
It is a public chartered university by the president. And right now we have 11,000 students on that university.
No.
Yes.
I remember actually when they were opening a couple of years ago, I applied to work there. Unfortunately, I didn't.
So we are powering it's an online 100% online university.
Yes.
Powered fully by KOTDA. We also have Riara University who have set their main campus is moving from Mbagathi High-Rise all the way to KOTDA.
Okay.
They have started piloting students and by the end of this year they will have fully settled at KOTDA.
Yes.
So then after the education band we have what is known as the industrial band. At the industrial band, we have a number of companies that have come. I'll single out a company known as Lucky DJX.
Okay.
Lucky DJX is a Chinese company that makes and cures garments, produces clothes for export.
So it's an EPZ.
Is an EPZ. In fact, KOTDA, we are now the only institution in the country to be a special economic zone that has an EPZ inside it, because that is an EPZ. And in the next 1 month, Lucky DJX will be employing 3,000 Kenyans to start working.
How do they get this job? Do they advertise or
no, they will because as KOTDA Technopolis we have a mandate by law to meet the 2% of the GDP.
Yes.
So we are helping them. We will advertise, KOTDA will advertise for these jobs on behalf of the company.
Okay.
And we are going to have about 3,000 Kenyans starting.
Wow.
And by the end of the year, we should be able to employ about 6,000 Kenyans. Because, of course, now production stages is what will determine how we continue adding. So we have mastered the entire 5,000 acres and then subdivided divided Konza into 3 phases.
Yes.
We have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is 100% horizontal infrastructure complete. What is there to note about Konza being a technological city? One, there will not be any overhead service in Konza. So we have developed in the entire phase 1 about 700 acres. We have developed tunneling system like the one you see in the States.
Subway system?
Yes, not a subway, a service tunnel that is 2.5 by 2.5 meter. It is going to do, we will do the stormwater, how we deal with stormwater.
That kind of tunnel.
That kind of tunnel, we deal with stormwater. We will be able to deal with the sewerage system underneath. We will also be, we have now introduced a new technology in Konza. You don't see those lorries that carry what do you call it, garbage.
Yes.
We are using a vacuuming system. We have a garbage management center, and this is not storage. This is what is in existence in Konza. So what you do, you segregate waste at source.
Okay, so the organic,
plastic,
metals,
metal, and all those things. Then the system is built that once the garbage at a certain corner, because in the entire phase 1 we have a garbage collection unit at every plot.
Yes.
Once the garbage kernel fills up, it sends a signal to the waste management center, and it is vacuumed to up to 1.3 kilometers to where it is.
Is that been done anywhere else in the world?
It must be done because it is, I think it's the Spanish technology.
Yes.
So we are dealing with waste, not just moving around. It goes to our waste management center where it is, first of all, it is treated so that you deal with the smell.
Yes.
Then it is compacted. If it is plastic, it is compacted
for
recycling. If it is bio-waste, it is for compost. It is put somewhere. So that means that all our garbage system is a vacuuming system that is going to evacuate the garbage from all the investors to waste management center. Again, we have one of the best, and we don't have another one in the country.
Yes.
A water reclamation facility. We can now reclaim 80% of all our wastewater in Konza.
Yes.
We can reclaim up to 80%.
Treat it and recycle it.
Yes, 20% to drinkable level. Yes.
Out of the 80, 20 can be drinkable.
20 is drinkable, but for now, we are only reclaiming it, sending it to our water towers, and then we bring it by gravity for greening. It's one that is helping us greening. And then we are also home to the National Data Center. Konza National Data Center is a tier 3, both by design and construction. It is a US ISO certified data center. It is, I think it's third in Africa, third or fourth in Africa.
Yes.
And therefore, the government, through the Office of the Head of Public Service, has issued letters to government entities. You can no longer invest money on physical data centers because we are helping government digitize through Konza Crowd. That is at that data center. We are home to the revenue system of Nairobi County. It is hosted at Konza. We are home to Kenya.
We're talking about massive servers,
Yes.
Which require
and we are
a
not
lot
just,
of energy.
Listen, we are not just helping you do that storage of data for you. Even if today radio generation wanted to do what is called collocation, come with your servers to Konza. We will give you space, we will give you power, we will maintain them for you. And what I can tell you, it is both physical and logic security, because in IT you have to talk about logic security, is taken care of. And therefore, when you come to store data with Konza, we have a same data center like the data center, we have our recovery center about 130 kilometers somewhere in Kenya away from Konza, a replica of the same. That means if something was to happen,
you have a redundancy system.
We have a redundancy system. As a client, you will not even know there was a hitch.
So that means the energy requirements of that city.
I'm telling you, it is crazy. We of course now Konza is home to the second biggest substation in the country, 600 and I think 40 kVA.
Yes,
it is the second biggest. At the data center, we have massive generators to be able to maintain that power. And I think our reserve tanks are about 20,000 liters for the data center. But then again, as you know, the world is going to green energy. We are very conversant with what is happening, and therefore the sources of electricity for Konza is both from geothermal and from hydro. So it's 100% green energy. As you come to construct in Konza, you must meet those requirements of greening and green energy as part of your construction. And therefore, as Konza Technopolis, we are doing a very serious technology-driven city. For your information, the traffic system in Konza is one that is not in any other place in the country or in the East Africa region. Actually sub-Saharan. So we have done in our master plan what we call 3 green corridors. So we have the non-motorized transportation system in Konza. Phase 1 is complete. We have what we call BRT serving Konza, and then we have what we call, we don't talk about street lights in Konza. We talk about streetscapes, because the lighting poles have 3 major things they do, all 4. One, of course, they provide light to the entire city as street lights. Number 2, they have a camera that help us manage traffic in Konza. Number 3, they are also advertised. They have what we call screens for advertisement. But of importance, they have what we call the air sensors or the weather sensors. We are able to manage the levels of oxygen within the city. So if there is a smoke somewhere, or if there is some odor coming from somewhere, the sensors are able to send that information to the security control center to be able to have them check. And
you know what? We shall definitely call you here specifically to talk about Konza.
So I would I would like to ask Kenyans, if you got time, just go log into Konza website, request to come and visit and see the city, and you will be automatically be assisted. But also allow me, as we go dive into the other, we are also learning a very serious part, an integral part of the Kenya digitization project by the government of the Honorable William Ruto. It's called the Digital Superhighway. This has brought together Konza Technopolis, brought together ICTA, that is the ICT authority, has brought Communication Authority. It has also brought Kenya Power. Why so? One, we are doing 1450 digital hubs in conjunction with the MPs and the CDF, but also as part of wanting to show people this is workable, as Konza we are doing piloting of about 100 digital hubs, fully funded by the Universal Services Fund. The Universal Services Fund has also released money to ICTA to be able to do what is known as the last mile connectivity. So that's where Kenya Power comes in, because we are leveraging on the lines of Kenya Power to be able to do internet. We have all gone all the way to Raisamis in Masabit, and the idea is that we want to ensure that in every corner of the country. Digitization is because according to ITU, which is the ICT wing of the United Nations, by 2031 we should have about 28 million jobs online in Africa alone. And those lines, those work and revenue flows will only go to countries that are prepared enough to be able to do this,
such as ourselves.
Yeah, so we are working even with the biggest BPOs in the world, like Teleperformance, to be able to achieve the digital superhighway as envisioned by this government.
Peter, mimi nauliza.
Yes. Yes.
Umepiga debe vizuri sana.
Yes.
This is excellent. So these are the individuals who work within government who are in communication. What do they do? Because I would have assumed that we did not need to invite you for me to hear all these things. There should have been somebody attached to the Technopolis and the Ministry of ICT. But by now, this information should have been the public domain. It is not. If it's in the public domain, it's a domain that I do not have any relationship with.
I think the biggest problem has been most of our people have been winking in the dark. And you know, there's a difference between winking, and it's one thing to wink, it's another one to wink either in the light or in the dark. And I think that is the biggest problem that I have always confessed here, that how do we communicate to people what has happened? How do we communicate to people what government is doing? I was sitting with HE yesterday for around 2 hours, and we were looking at what we have been able to achieve as a government. You'll be shocked that the people you would expect, I have friends in some of these departments, but the information I was getting from HE himself, it makes you sad that it has to be the president to be able to tell the people what is happening. And that's one thing I don't want to find myself in.
Let me tell you what you have achieved. You have achieved in not informing Kenyans adequately about, you have achieved it spectacularly. Because when you're criticized as a government, you now understand why. If the narrative that is constantly being heard is about the non-performance of the government, and yet patently it's obvious there are things which are being done, but nobody knows about it. So of what use is it if we don't know about it?
Actually, I have a question for the Secretary General of Safina Party. First of all, Joakim, good morning. Karibu sana to Radio Generation in 2026.
No, I've been here before in this year. Good morning.
Na kuonanga unakujanga kuongea na Patricia.
No.
Usiku.
Yeah, I only came once, but I was here. We did like 3 hours.
You were here.
But it wasn't this year, though. Was it this year?
Yeah.
Joakim has been here this year.
Yes.
Is it twice or once?
He has been here.
I think that something must have happened.
No, it's his leg.
It's the leg.
It's the leg.
The metatarsal bone must be setting the whatever.
Joakim anafloat. Ndakwambia story ya mugu yangu baadaye.
Yes.
But Joakim, welcome. So the question I had for you, as far as you came in while Peter here was explaining a little bit about Konza City.
Yes.
And then now you've heard what he has said about the things that the government of President William Ruto has done.
Yes.
From your perspective, what has the government of Kenya Kwanza done for Kenya?
They have done a lot.
Okay.
Yes. I think this administration had to come into existence. The administration is actually playing its role quite well. You see, it's in the ironic nature of any human being to run very fast when you have lost direction. And I understand. And President Ruto had to exist and had to come at this particular time so that the people can learn a few things. And I think the role he has played quite well is that he has made politics to be an important aspect of life. And the people who thought that politics has nothing to do with their lives are now paying attention. That every morning when you wake up, you have to know what happened, how is the Ministry of Health, how are the roads, because you realize that so much is at stake and it demands timeless vigilance. So that's something they have done quite well. As for his explanation on Technopolis, like Konza, it's a good program for people who have made it in life, people who can afford such kind of lives. But the questions most of us are asking are not those big things. They can be done, and it's good. But how are we taking care of the holoi polloi in the society? Someone who, if we have a report that is saying that 22 million people cannot afford food, it means something is terribly wrong. Because how is it that you cannot afford 3 meals a day? And those who can afford 3 meals a day, they are struggling with other basics like paying school fees for their children, healthcare. And when you get information that 800 learners from grade 10 have not been able to go to school, it speaks to inability of the parent to afford what is needed for their children to actually go to school. And those are the things that if we don't take care of, it's like we are flying a Boeing that has no landing gear. So we will keep on flying, and when we run out of fuel, we have a crash landing. So before we even fly this plane, let us make sure that we know where we are going to land, and we have the landing gears. The people, the reason why majority of the people do not know such programs is because these programs have no consequential reprieve into their lives. That when concert technopolis is actually built and it's done, it adds nothing to your life in Mukuru kwa Njenga, because you still have to grapple with the reality that you have to wake up every day and struggle to find 3 meals. And when you find 3 meals, that becomes an achievement. You see, we are a country that is very ambitious, a country that talks about big things, digital airways. You talk about big cities. You talk about being first world in the next few years. But what are the nitty-gritties? What are the small things that we are not taking care of? When you hear a patient who has been told that the tumor you have cannot be covered by SHA, it has not come to the needed size, you have to go home and bear with the pain like 1 or 2, 3 months. Itakuwa imekuwa kubwa to an extent that now SHA can take care of. So you have to go home with a tumor in your neck and wait for it to grow so that now SHA can take cognizance of it. So those are the issues. So when we come out here and we talk about places where government has not taken care of, it's about the people who depend on government's goodwill to survive. I don't think when you go around here asking Kenyans about the cities that are being built, Kenyans will not tell you, because for them, their first requirement is for their children to go to school, to dress well, at least sanitation in a place where they stay. But if we are not taking care of those things, and my friend here might say that the government is also thinking about them, and actually affordable housing is being built for the people in Mukuru kwa Njenga. You see, every project that the president launches in this Nairobi mostly, I go there the following day. When he leaves, I visit the project. Okay. And most...
Like literally the following day?
Yes.
So if he does something today, Friday, tomorrow, Saturday?
Tomorrow I'm there.
Okay.
I realize when I go with cameras, they won't allow me in. So I just go there like an ordinary Kenyan. And before they realize Joakim is here, I have already left.
Okay.
Like the project of affordable housing in Mukuru kwa Njenga.
Yes.
You see, the very reason why the affordable housing idea was conceived is so that you can provide a kind of housing to the people at the bottom of the pyramid that can provide dignity and a modern way of living to them. So you launch 1080 units of houses in Mukuru kwa Njenga. Then Joakim pays them a visit the following day, expecting to find people who have migrated from Mukuru kwa Njenga to the affordable housing units. The people I find in those areas, clearly they don't come from Mukuru I have stayed in Mukuru. I know how we look like. I know how their children behave. But ukipata mtu na socks na crocs anaendesha mountain bike ya 20,000 in the compound, that's not a person from Mukuru kwa Njenga.
Okay.
And if we are solving the issue of housing,
yes,
then we should be able to ask ourselves that for a person to decide to stay just where a place where a sewer line is passing in front of the door, then what could be the reason?
I have a question on that Mukuru thing that you said when you visit these places. Do you actually, apart from just the observation,
yes,
do you ask them questions? For example, where do you come from? How did you acquire this house? And so on and so forth.
The inhabitants of those houses will clearly not answer.
Okay.
But the people who are most likely to answer are the security guys on the gate. You can engage in a Kenyan way of living there. You buy them tea, you have a banter, and you are like, hey, naona bwana, kunaendelea vizuri, watu wa Mukuru wamekuja. Sema hawa si watu wa Mukuru bwana. Hawa ni watu ambao mahali wametoka. It's a good place.
Okay.
And they can afford this. And when you talk about you talk about a housing unit and you talk about $1 million shillings, automatically that's not affordable to an average Kenyan.
Okay. Perhaps, Peter, on that particular one, what would be your response? That the people taking up these houses are not the intended people?
I think with all humility and respect, I would choose not to digress to what I would normally call hearsay and information that cannot pass the test of times. Because when you come tell me that the people inhabiting Mukuru are not people there, I would expect you to have irrefutable facts that indeed you can ascertain they are not proof from there. But I understand the thing with naysayers. They would paint a very good story that has no factual or verifiable information behind it. Because I think when you are trying to gather information to discredit something, you will go at any length, including, one time British Premier Tony Blair said on how opposition is very shameless in the House. I am a very stout follower of the Prime Minister's question in the UK.
Okay.
And I think if you allow me, I don't want to digress into the what do you call it, into something that is not based on facts.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, that when you hear my friend here, Simiyu, castigating things like what we are doing in Konza, I'll tell you, for instance, that when we were doing the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Konza by a company called Bomi from Korea, it had employed 5,000 people for a span of 3 years to be able to do that project. When we were doing the infrastructure phase 1 by another Italian company called ICM, employed another 6,000 people to work, Kenyans to work at that project. And when you hear somebody telling you that Kenyans don't care about such projects being built, I have just told you that in the next 1 week, and I will ensure that you get that advert. We are advertising jobs for 3,000 Kenyans to be able, because there will be about 3,400 jobs that are being created, but the 400 are for the expert and technical people, so they need to be brought from outside to be able to do what is known as knowledge transfer, because other than building, as I say, we are doing knowledge economy. This is what I'll tell you. When you are looking for shallow wells, to be able to discredit the river under which the shallow wells are feeding into, you will go to the level of being as petty. I'll tell you, when you are talking about education, about 800 Kenyans not being able to go to high school, how many go to grade 10? We are talking, is that person telling you how many have been able to translate? And what is the translation percentage of kids from primary school to high school vis-a-vis what has been happening in the previous government.
Okay.
You see, when you're talking about the education sector that he's talking about, I'll tell you, one, we have in the independent Kenya, from the time of Jomo Kenyatta to the year 2022, this country was not employing more than 15,000 teachers per year.
Okay.
Per year.
And this is information
verified. This is I deal with, I am a guest here and I deal with, I'm a student of facts, and I'm a student of statistics.
Okay.
Today, the government of William Ruto has been able to employ 100,000 teachers in its existence now in that education sector. For a whopping 14 years, teachers stayed in the same cadre, they were not promoted. Today, this government has promoted 154,000 teachers, given promotion. We are looking at a very serious funding model that has been there with a lot of gaps. And you see, this is the point. If you are changing, one, change must meet resistance. Change must be fought by those people who have been feeding off that change. And that is why Simiyu and others will continue to poke holes on the development that the government is trying to do. So therefore, when you are talking about 800 students, I would want him to go back to history and tell me in the year 2019, how many kids did not go to high school. In the year 2013, how many kids missed to translate from primary to high school.
Okay.
And then when you look at the history, you realize that we have come all the way narrowing the gap. And the government of Uhuru Kenyatta tried to narrow the gap. But the government of William Ruto, how many kids sat for the grade 10 exams? Against the so-called 800 who have not been able to do. You see, you cannot look at a national conversation on a subjective manner.
Yes.
You have to look at it holistically. You have to ask yourself, what is the percentage? Because as a national government, it is not subjective. It is just like my people here in Mount Kenya thinking that a few characters saying that 1 term or 2 term is actually reflecting the entire Kenya. When you are looking at the political segmentation, you have to look at it holistically.
But would you point out any...
Yes.
Can I jump in a minute?
All right, sure.
We do not mention the 800 because it's the first time to happen. We do not talk about it because it did not happen in the previous years. But because we look at the capability of the government and what it's doing. If we have this small, according to him, 800 is a small percentage compared to those who have translated to the other levels. But the capability of government is enough for 100% transition. So the question we are asking is, why do we have this percentage of students not being able to transition, yet the government is in position to make it happen? And then you look at the question of resources. If it's about resources, then you look at where the government is putting its resources, you realize that there is something wrong with our prioritization of issues. That the lack of transitioning of these students is pegged on the resources. But the government is using what it has on less important matters.
Okay.
If education is such important as my brother wants to put it, then the resources the government has should be directed to that sector so that we can ensure and come here and say this number of students did not transition in 2013, but we have been able to do 100%. You see, to whom more is given,
more is expected.
More is expected. And his government has been able to proudly say there is no other government that has been able to collect as more tax as the broad-based government, previously Kenya Kwanza. They have been saying that. So we expect that they do more than other governments. You see, and most of the questions we are asking, most of them tell us that, you see, this is not the first time for these things to happen. It even happened under Uhuru Kenyatta. It even happened in 2013. But when you look at the leadership that was there during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, it's the leadership that is here today. So when you complain about a regime that passed, then you are complaining about yourself because you are there serving in some capacity. So the questions we are saying, we are not naysayers. We are only identifying what is wrong with the society and we lay it bare. We are saying, Mr. President, it is. I did not castigate the KOTDA project.
Yes.
I said it's good for the people who can be able to access and afford such kind of services. I'm talking about that person who this morning he's only thinking about food. If a government cannot take care of such a person, then I don't think it qualifies to be called a government. It is there to make sure that the most vulnerable, at least they can get something. That we put the taxes that we collect holistically as a country can be able to provide services for that person who cannot earn. And so there are speculation. I don't know if it's speculation about expenditure of money in State House.
Okay.
So you wonder, what is it that happens at State House that consumes such an amount of money? What services? What kind of tea do they serve? Or who
I think
goes there?
someone once asked, what industry is in there that produces?
Yes, you see, the allocation of money to State House is more than money allocated to education. So it begs the question, what happens there? And then at some point, the president said, like, we cannot provide free education because we do not have enough for free education. But again, leaders from his own administration, hawawezi hata hesabu pesa, they have to use a weighing scale to be able to determine how much they have.
When did that happen, though?
When you have seen these things?
No, I haven't, and I'd like you to explain to me how it is. You have seen it. Give me examples of what it is that you say. You know the weighing scales that are used to determine how much money somebody has.
These things have been, you see, we are very big consumers of what happens. And some of these things, they are conveniently avoided not to be seen because they raise more questions.
But you see, let me tell you again. I don't want to deal with the hearsay. And so it's hearsay because you
provide that video.
The honor is on you. I would want you to show me somebody in State House weighing money, not just a random video created.
No, it's not.
And I am saying this because I work at KOTDA Technopolis. We are in the artificial intelligence generation where we know how deep fakes are being done. You see, I have heard him clearly talk about how we brag about correcting the most revenue. But the other question is, before you talk about how much we talk, what is the burden that this country has? For instance, in the year 2024-2025, we corrected about 2.55 trillion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
That's what the Kenya revenue corrected. But in the same year, we paid 2.1 in debt servicing.
I was waiting for that.
Yes, in debt servicing. Where is did this debt come from?
Yes.
In that year, 2024-2025, we had quite a lot of concessions, a lot of loans maturing at the same year. And a lot of the money, because every time we correct revenue, it goes to the consolidated account. And then when you want to withdraw money from the consolidated account, there are charges which are put that come one after the other. What is the first charge on money at the consolidated account? It is not even, it is interest on loans. The first charge is always interest on loans we have taken. That is one. Number two, the second charge is now paying the actual debt,
the principal
amount. The third charge...
Just pause. Meaning, the money in the consolidated account, whenever you want to expend it...
Yes.
By law...
Yes.
you can't send it to any of the ministries for whom we have budgeted money.
Yes.
The first thing you do is you pay the interest.
Yes.
Second thing that you do is you pay the debt.
The principal.
Then third, the principal.
Yes.
The installment that had been agreed upon.
Yes.
Then thirdly, then you start looking at how to spread this money.
In fact, the third expenditure, the third charge on that, it is a recurrency. For your information, recurrence expenditure. Development budget comes forth.
I see.
I understand now.
So you understand. That is the law, and it is the principle of managing government funds all over the world. It is
our laws.
It is our law,
and that is what we must.
And that is what we must do. Now, the moment we have a serious debt burden like the country had, and I will say this for avoidance of doubt, because Simiyu and the likes like to have what is called selective amnesia. When His Excellency the President became the president, Kenya was among the 5 countries in the world that were expected to default their debt. And that's a fact. Of the 5, 4, including one of our neighbors, I don't want to get myself in a diplomatic way, one of our neighbors at the north defaulted. Only Kenya did not default. You see, the president had to make tough decisions, scrap the subsidies on ugari, scrap the subsidy on oil, because they were not making sense. We started making subsidy on production to be able to cut. Actually, the first year, the president cut the budget by over 300 billion shillings.
You want to say something about that?
So let me finish. Okay. He's going to come in. And therefore, looking at where the president, let me tell you, by all means, if you ask an economist in the world, to be able to go against the projection of World Bank, IMF, that they are expecting, looking at your economy, that you will default your own, it is one of the best things this country had to go through to be able to avoid that default. It has meant that, and I know my brother here knows how the World Bank and the other international institutions classify a country in terms of economic activities. We were able to classify ourselves in a good place, that we are able now to attract investments because we have been able to stabilize. Today, let me tell you, I don't know whether you checked at the dollar reserve when the president became president. Our dollar reserve was at around, I think, $4.6 billion. When we became, we could not even get oil. You would remember the president had to do the G2G government agreement to be able to get the oil market as the amount of petroleum they needed in the country. We have been able to grow that from 4.6 to now 12.6 billion US dollars, our reserve. That means we've been able to stabilize our import and our export. But because the opposition and Simiyu and friends, they want to become, and I say, they want to become subjective in a national debate. In a national debate, you have to be holistic. What is the expectation of government? I say,
so that we can answer everything in order.
Yes.
Ndio asikuwe na vitu mingi za kujibu. There's something you wanted to say about the budget. But as you say that, I just want to correct you. The State House budget was 8.5 billion.
Yes.
And then the one for education is 700 billion.
700.
Yes.
A word of a difference.
So, on the issue of debt, as an issue and a result, it's a burden. It's bringing fiscal pressure on our expenditures government. So that's why we are asking questions, that we have such a huge debt burden.
Yes.
So we have to look at it. Where did we get it from? How did we borrow? Because it just didn't pop out of nowhere. It had to start from somewhere. And the questions, every time we have a higher taxation demand, when we ask questions, the answer is always we have a huge debt burden that we need to take care of.
Do we have a huge debt burden?
According to government, that's what they tell us. So the question is, this debt burden, where did we get it from? The money we borrowed to accumulate this huge debt, what did we do with it? Because if we borrowed 200 billion to build a dam, and you are telling us to pay the money, we should be able to see the dam. If you borrowed 200 billion to take students to study IT,
yes,
you should be able to tell us that we have 20 people from Bungoma, we have 20 from Kakamega, we should be able to trace the money we borrowed within our economic system.
Okay.
But if we can't find it, but you are telling us to pay, so what are we paying for? The debts that you are telling us to pay, were they taken legally? If they were taken legally, what for? What are the reasons for borrowing in a country? So, even as we agree that debt is a problem, that's why we keep on saying we have to audit the public debt.
Yes.
Yesterday I was in a meeting somewhere, we were discussing with the committee overseeing implementation of the 10-point agenda. And on the 10-point agenda,
yes,
public debt is agenda number 7. Fighting corruption is agenda number 5. Leadership and integrity is agenda number 5. The other one is number 8. So in that discussion, when everything came down to debt, and that marries with agenda number 5, integrity, and agenda number 8 on fighting corruption. The reason why we have such a huge amount of debt that cannot be accounted for is because of corruption. And my friend here can talk about a lot, except the accountability on this issue of debt. The President Ruto,
yes,
I remember in 2014, he was deputy president, and there was question about the Eurobond. And as usual, in their usual way of dismissing the opposition, they said that Raila is cooking up numbers. And in his own words, President Ruto at that time as deputy president, he said, I am the deputy president, I'm in charge. If there are any questions about debt, come and ask me.
yeah.
So fast forward, you are president. We're asking about debt and you are saying now we are naysayers. I heard him yesterday say that he had to go to China twice. We were paying $1 billion every financial year, so he had to go and negotiate. Okay, we are paying $1 billion every year. This $1 billion, what did we do with it? How did we borrow? Was the borrowing approved by Parliament? Pegged on which development agenda?
Okay.
How did we use the money once it came in? Those are the questions. If we cannot find answers to those questions, then this whole issue of a burden of debt is not our problem.
Do we also acknowledge that the current regime has inherited debt also from previous regimes?
The current regime, is true, they are telling us that he inherited debt. So just to take you through the small debt problem.
Right.
When Kibaki was handing over the reins of power to Uhuru, we had a debt stock of about 1.8 trillion. So Uhuru, his time in office for 10 years, he left 8.8, which means he borrowed to an excess of 7.
Yes.
And so, President Ruto, you remember him and Gachagua making a lot of noise that they found empty coffers.
Yes.
And a huge debt burden, saying that they found a debt of 8.8 trillion. In 3 years of his administration, we are now talking about around 12.5. So which means that debt is never coming down.
Okay.
It's always on an upward trajectory. But these two presidents, all of them are saying they have used trillions to pay debt. President Uhuru said he used 5.6 to pay debt in his 10 years. President Ruto has told us he has been able to pay 4. But he has borrowed 3. So
it should be coming down.
It should be coming down.
If you do the maths,
it doesn't add up.
it should be down significantly.
Significantly.
But it isn't.
You see, let me tell you, I'm listening to Simiyu here. He's saying the government is telling us.
Yes.
And that is where I think we part ways because, facts are very stubborn.
Yeah.
They are very stubborn. One, let me say this in simple. We've had our burden, our national budget in 3 forms. One, we fund primarily our budget through correction of revenue and taxes by the national government. We also fund our budget through concessions and loans from our financial partners. But we also, that way, which is not really most forthcoming, we get grants from our friends to be able to meet part of the budget. And I'll tell you, this country has to come up with a way of being able to manage a public finance and debt and how to be able to drive economy. But then again, let me probably, and I would want to get an honest answer from Simiyu.
Yes.
That one, it is true that Kenyans are pushed to the limit, that you cannot be able to raise more tax from Kenyans as it is now. That's a fact. And that is why you have seen even the government going down on pay and what have you, because Kenyans are at their limits. That is a fact. Number 2, we are no longer able to be able to get more loans. Because if we try to get more loans that we already have now, we will put this country in the brink of where it was in 2023, unless Simiyu forgets that at 2023 we are at a brink. But then again, these are the same fellas when we go, because I can tell you here without blinking and telling you.
Yeah.
Name for me any biggest infrastructure in the world.
Yes.
Any that you know. And I will tell you it was not funded by government.
City, there's this methali from the Gambia about leopards.
It's a final proverb actually from the Republic of the Gambia. The leopard that visits you is the one that kills you. It has struck a chord here.
Clearly.
The leopard that visits you is the leopard that kills you. Do you know man leopard?
Nimeiona. I would equate that proverb from the Gambia with our own Swahili methali here. Yenye inasema kikulacho kinguoni mwako.
Yes.
And I think that the Gambians must have had that experience. Today I'll walk in and I would want City to be the person helping me. But as fate would have it, the person who messed me up then becomes the same person I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very serious proverb to those who are in power, because it's a catch-21. Not the way we say there is a thin line between being good and being evil. So I think City just wanted to start up this conversation with that. See ati alikuwa amesahau. He was looking at where to bring in the proverb.
That is what you call interpretation. Yes. So to listen Joakim, what his
interpretation, yes.
The leopard that visits you is the one that kills you.
Yes.
That for this leopard to be able to kill you, it has to visit you, so it has to be close. So it can't kill you from the wild. It has to be.
Hakuna remote control killing with leopard.
So it has to be close.
Yes.
So anything that happens to you that is, you are wondering what is it, the cause is within that vicinity where you are.
Yeah.
Wanasemaga best yako ndi adui yako, rafiki yako ndi adui yako.
Ndio sasa.
Yes, and even when you look at all the betrayals that have happened all over the world, they are orchestrated by people who are close to you.
Actually, for someone to betray you, they have got to be close to you.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
And in fact, it pains most when it is someone that you know.
It's like within the mtaa where people live. How can somebody rob you unless they know what you have?
Yes. Yes.
It's true.
Ati umeteremka tu stairs kidogo unarudi gasi hakuna.
Nimeanza kuamini aliishi Mukuru. Nimeanza kuamini, nilikuwa bado unasema tu for the sake of it. But sasa nimeamini ulijikuru. But there's something you were saying about infrastructure globally.
I was saying, Simiyu and company and all those who are actually questioning government and very opinionated on that level need to make a choice of where we want this country to be. Because yes, and I agree personally, we are unable to stretch Kenyans any further to squeeze anything out of them. As it is, they are on the brink. And that's a fact.
Yeah, actually, and your MP said it.
Yes.
During the MP's retreat.
Yes. And it is true. It is actually tax and revenue are the main source of our budget. And since we cannot be able to ask Kenyans to do anymore, as it is now, we literally survived defaulting debt. And therefore, as a country, we cannot stretch beyond our limits. That leaves us with a very huge funding gap of infrastructure projects that this country requires to be able to go to the next level. And therefore, the only possible way to be able to do this, and that is what has been happening all over the world, it is public-private partnership. But even when we do that, people start shouting, we are selling our airport to Andani, we are selling our airport. We are we are suspect of each other. And I'll tell you, and I was one of the critics, because I'm not afraid to admit when you critic something that turned out to be opposite. I was a very major critic of the expressway here. Very major critic of the expressway. Today, the expressway is an example of a successful public-private partnership. It is giving government a surplus over and above the payment they are supposed to meet with the people who constructed it. They are able to make much more than what they pay every year to what they are owed. They pay and there is a surplus. And if this country is going to go forward with infrastructure, it is like the one we have structured now with the Rironi Summit, which, of course, in the last 1 month was getting the panel beating to be able to move with force. And I can report now that the contractor is now fully in force on site. If this country is going to expand, Simiyu and their people must stop shouting that the country is being auctioned. In fact,
why should they share? Why should they?
No, I am saying they are not giving facts, because let me tell you. Hold on, you get your time to respond to your queries. I'm telling you today, name the biggest project that you know in the world. The biggest project you know in the world. And I'll tell you who has funded that project. And biggest part of it is not government.
The Grand Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia.
Yes, it is funded by a public-private partnership. It is the truth. Our president was there to open it the other day.
From my understanding, it was funded by the people of Ethiopia.
No, you see, at the end of the day, I want you to look at the project. It is a PPP. It is not 100% funded by the people of Ethiopia.
From what I understand, the people of Ethiopia did a harambe. Let me call it a harambe.
Let me tell you. The reason why all of us are running to China, all the countries in Africa are running to China to go and get loans, it is the loans we get from China Exim and other banks that we are getting from the savings done by the People's Republic of China. Today, it is mandatory and it is law in China that you have to save 55% of your earning. It is a law. In the entire independent Kenya, from 1963 to 2022, the NSSF was only able to correct about 360 billion. That was what was corrected. You would remember, if City would remember, 2013, we changed the law on NSSF to be able to have every Kenya save 6% of their earnings. That is, you save your 6%, your employer pays 6%. Then, 2014, one Francis Atwoli rushed to court and stopped it. Fast forward to 2022, when His Excellency President William Ruto became president, he called Aturi on a round table and told him, you cannot hold this country hostage. We have to move, and you need to go to court and withdraw this case so that we can start saving, so that in 10 years we may be able to get money from our own savings. Aturi heed to the call and went and withdrew the case. And Kenyans started paying 6% of their salary to NSSF. 2022, to date,
yes,
we have been able to increase our savings to 631 billion.
Okay.
What we corrected in the entire independent Kenya to 2022, we have corrected the same amount in 2 years only. That means 10 years from now, we should be able to have around 10 trillion Kenya shillings in our saving. And what does that mean for this country? It means that this country will no longer get such huge funding gap, because we can go to NSSF and get our money. Today, NSSF is part of the money that is going to fund the Ronimau Summit.
Okay.
And that means the savings you and City and myself will be cut. The savings that will be cut, that money will be able to increase my pension.
Simiyu is saying no. Did you say no?
No, I would want him to dispute the fact with fact.
I hope Sijasema, what did you say? There's something you say.
I was saying you know.
Yeah. Oh, you know. Not no. Okay, Simiyu, over to you.
It's the reg again.
Wachaneni na mguu yangu. But yes, Simiyu.
The issue of PPP. You see, the ideas that are coming from this government are very brilliant. But it is very difficult to get a good deal from a bad person. However brilliant the deal is, you ask yourself, who is behind it?
How do you determine that somebody is a bad person?
Looking at history.
I was imagining he is a behavior pattern expert. I would want to know the credentials. Maybe I can believe him then.
How do you
determine someone is bad?
When you walk in a village and people in the villages tell you, don't walk with the child of so-and-so. Do we have behavioral experts in the villages?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do. We do.
Who are they?
The data collection method, which is fundamental to all of us, is observation.
Yes.
People who live in that village have your history.
Yes.
They know your grandfather,
Yes.
they know your father, and so they know you. And it's very easy for them to connect traits that they've seen before in you. Every village night runner is known. Every village chicken thief is known. Just
Every
like
burglar
is known. They are known. The people who are experts in wife inheritance are known. All these things are known in communities.
I actually
The wife inheritance part was just chilling, then boom.
So what I mean is,
in the village wakikwambia chana na mtu na chana.
There is a lot of truth in those statements. So people who come up with brilliant ideas that only end up to benefit either them or people close to them, you have to look at them with a very attentive eye. This issue of PPP, you know, the question they are telling us is that we are running away from loans. So we are coming up with a PPP. So, for example, Mauri Rone Road, NSSF will fund 45% of the project. Then 55% will come from a private developer. When a private developer injects 55% of the project, that's a loan. Because once the project is done, he will now take over the running of the project to recoup back his investment. Once it is done, now it's left for government to run it. So you can't say entirely you've run, you are not taking loans. Now the other word they are using is securitization.
Yes.
With we saying that, you know, we are now not taking loans, we are securitizing.
Actually, that is the process of taking loans, because that's the moment you use securitization,
that's a loan.
You are saying you are securing that loan with a certain process and a certain proceed.
So you say the money collected on housing levy has been securitized to obtain a loan of 400 billion, for instance. So how do you then come and tell me that you are no longer taking loans? And I agree with him that Kenyans cannot be stretched any further. You cannot get any more shilling in form of a tax from these Kenyans. So the president has resolved to do one thing, to get revenue from selling state assets. That now offload 15% of your stake in Safaricom, then take the dividends on the remaining 20%. So the annual dividends the government has been getting, you take it now. So once you are done offloading the 15%, which means that next financial year you will have to offload another percentage. And you will continue like that, so that when I am now 50 years as Joakim and I am president, which asset will I offload? Which government shares will I be selling?
Zote zimeenda.
Mtu ameuza zote. So when we say that, and the issue is that they have a huge burden and they are not answering the right questions. When you ask questions about, okay, this year we are going to pay how much? Tell us. To who? When did we take it? On what purpose? Did we achieve that purpose? They don't answer those questions. They come here and say, you see, the last regime mismanaged the country. And I am like, wait a minute. The last regime is now. Let's count the people who are in the last regime. The president was Uhuru Kenyatta. The deputy president was Ruto, who is now president. The leader of the majority in parliament was Aden Duale, who is now cabinet secretary. The one in Senate was Murkomen, who is now cabinet secretary. When you look at the people who are now in this government, held significant roles in the last regime. So if we have to blame the last regime for mismanaging the country, who are we blaming? We are blaming you people who are now in charge. And we are not, he talked about the government not defaulting on debt. They might not have defaulted on debt, but they defaulted on services. They had to choose between providing services to the people or pay debt. Debt that did not in any way benefit these people, that have now to be sacrificed so that the money they have contributed in terms of taxes pays for the loans.
Simiyu, let me understand you. You're a deputy president and you have people who are aligned to you in government. When we think of governments, who do we name as heads of governments?
President.
Precisely.
Yes.
So whose government was it?
President Uhuru's.
On whose shoulders do the blames lie?
On the president.
It is.
But again, how can you come and take the credit from the last regime and say the good things that happened, you have to be mentioned? But the bad things that happened in that regime, you know nothing about them.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the duplicity that politicians treat matters is something of common knowledge within this country.
Yes.
Okay?
So are we supposed to just be okay
No.
with it?
What I'm talking about is the revisionism when it comes to how we look at issues.
Yes.
You see, there is no government we've had, including the colonial one, which didn't have tons of skeletons that nobody was willing to look at straight and say, hii ndio shida ambayo tuko nayo. Okay?
Yes.
The discussion we're having has been made possible by the times in which we live and the 2010 constitution that we have, that has opened doors that people like and of my generation didn't think would happen. But here we are. We are seeing it has happened. Okay? Now, when we look at the role of governments, and this one now we are saying, this is the person who was the head of government, and this is what happened during their time. We cannot run away from the simple fact that we have never had a government that has borrowed money as wantonly and as freely as the Uhuru government, in which one William Ruto was the deputy, and we have never seen a government in the history of this country where money has been brought to that magnitude, and you keep asking where all that money went, because it is a colossal amount of money.
This issue of debt
Yes.
is not entirely on President Ruto.
Who is it entirely on?
When you look at the genesis of the problem, it starts in 2014, barely a year, when Uhuru came in.
How does that problem begin in 2014?
It begins by Aden Duale moving a motion in Parliament and amending the...
Who did Aden Duale work for?
Aden Duale was brought in by...
No. Which party did he represent? It's the president's party.
Yes.
Yes. So again...
I'm not running away from the fact.
No, I actually want you to go on with what you're saying because
Yes.
it's important. It's an important contribution to this, that we understand the genesis.
Yes.
Go on.
The genesis of the debt burden
Yes.
begins in President Uhuru's regime.
Yes.
When you look at, is it called primary balance? The total amount of money collected within that regime, a whole 10 years in terms of taxes, vis-a-vis the expenditure of government for the same period of time. So when you look at the taxes President Uhuru was able to collect was 13 trillion.
Over that entire period of time.
Yes, 13 trillion. Government expenditure for the same period of time was 14.5. So the shortfall for the 10 years in office was 1 trillion. So if there was need to borrow any money, he was only needed to borrow 1. But our brother borrowed 7. And he told us he has paid 5.6.
So if we do the maths, when he left, the amounts we're speaking of should not have been what we're speaking of.
Yes.
They should have been less what he said he had paid.
So the question, that's why we are always on this debate. If you found 1.8, borrowed 7, paid 5, how much should you leave as a debt burden?
Simple arithmetic.
I'm loving the street interpretation of the budget. But I'll tell you this without an eye of doubt. Most Africa countries, including Kenya,
yes,
we have not come to the age of being able to fully 100% finance our infrastructure development. Because infrastructure is the most costly part of the budget.
What do you mean we have not been able to get to a point where we can finance it? What do you mean?
Because city, I'm looking at the first world country. I'm looking at US, for instance. Some of the biggest airport now, including it's called DFD in Texas and all those places. How have they been able to finance their project? And I keep saying, it is by public-private, because let me tell you, government does not have enough money to do infrastructure project unless you sit with the private sector, including the first world, including Germany, including UK.
No, the whole world over.
So the whole world over. And when I hear him talking about the street way of interpreting the budget, because that is the street way, because if you look at the nitty-gritties of the budget, and you look at the reason we took the loans. One, the Uhuru government was taking loans in quotes to do infrastructure development, concessions, short-term, they majored on short-term loans. That's why we have found ourselves in the problem.
No. There's something you're not addressing.
Yes?
I mentioned total tax.
That is what I am coming to. That is what I am coming to. What is the total cost of the infrastructure program by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta? Because you are talking about the total spending of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in the entire 10 years being 14 trillion according to him. But when we go back to the infrastructure project that was started by Uhuru, not minding whether they were complete or not, what was the total amount of the infrastructure program taken by Uhuru? That is where the devil is. He is looking at the budget from a street type of analyzing the budget. You look at SGR, look at what do you call these
expressway?
No. There's this famous bond, the money we took, the Euro.
Eurobond. Which Eurobond? There's 1, 2.
Yes, and all those things.
Yes.
If you look at the commitment, the infrastructural commitment by this government of Uhuru Kenyatta, you would realize that it goes way beyond what he's talking about as 14 million.
Trillion.
Yes.
Trillion.
Yes.
So
yes.
according to you, how much was a commitment?
It's not according to me, and that is why I want to differ from you. It is not according to me. It is according to what is accounted. And,
how much is it?
And I am asking myself, is it that Simiyu just decided not to read the Auditor General's report to be able to look at this? The point I am trying to make, and City has put, the government, that is why today we commend Kibaki for doing the Kasupa Highway, notwithstanding that there were ministers and permanent secretaries, but whose government was. All the people in government work in what is known as delegated authorities. And therefore, this debt he keeps talking about as if they are perceived debt, City. The point is, these are debts that are certified by the Auditor General, who is by law mandated to look. You realize we have now an issue with the NHIF debts because the Auditor General questioned some of the debts. The debt he is talking about, he's bringing an image as if the current president is paying perceived debts.
Really?
That is the image he is trying. Haven't you heard him from the word we started? He has not talked. You see, every time he is every time he is mentioning debts, the government is telling us what the government is telling us.
But is he wrong in making that statement? Because you see, if it's a president and his cabinet, you see, it's our understanding of government.
Yes. So when a minister says, what is
that is what I am saying.
Yes.
That is what I'm saying. Like, for instance, today we are in 2025, 2026. We are expected to pay 1 trillion Kenya shillings, not as the principal amount.
Interest. As
interest on debts.
So that is what that is my question.
Listen, that is what is going to be charged at the consolidated budget. Out of the 1 trillion Kenya shillings, over 600 billion Kenya shillings is going to service debts that were taken way before the current administration came in power. And you see, I agree with him. That much I agree with him. We need to look on a solution on how to continue lowering our debt ceiling to be able to, because as we progress as a country,
it's not just the debt ceiling.
Yes. We need to look at how do we lower budget in terms of...
Peter, can you let Simiyu say what he wants to say? Because
it's not about the debt ceiling. It's about what are you borrowing for? Are you doing it?
What do our laws allow you to borrow for?
Development.
Yes.
Which means if we have a debt of 12 trillion, we should be able to trace it within our development grid of the country. That we can go and say that 12 trillion we have as debt, 2 trillion DOE. We built this dam.
Then audit that 2 trillion.
Yes.
You can see what you're auditing.
You can see what you're auditing. 7 trillion DOE. We've built another dam. This dual carriage is one of the projects, so that we can audit it and say our 12 trillion debt did this, did this. When you look at the guiding principle of borrowing debt, are we ticking all the boxes? What is the guiding principle of borrowing? What do you borrow for? What is the procedure? What is the vote head? Because we have the lender's number, who is lending, and the project. When we look at these debts, were they approved by Parliament? Because how do you talk about a sovereign loan that the people, the sovereigns, you and me have to pay, but they did not sanction the borrowing of this loan?
Okay.
But you had begun a conversation, and so had Peter, about if we want to go this route of apportioning blame, and Parliament was mentioned, Duale was mentioned. You see, the moment Parliament raises the ceiling which our debts can go to, okay, it means the executive has the mandate. They can borrow up to. If there is, again, a story that monies were borrowed beyond that limit,
yes,
and Parliament was not involved, then now we have a completely different issue.
Yes.
Yes.
However, there's something that I think we need to have here. I like calling it an honest conversation. When you look at, and I'm going to use the Great Renaissance Dam as an example, okay? When they say that people contributed, they are not actually wrong. Ethiopia had to institute mandatory deductions from salaries, the way we're doing here, to help build that dam, number one. Number two, the public and the diaspora contributed significantly. 90% of what went into that loan is the equivalent of Kenya Commercial Bank. The Ethiopian Commercial Bank, it is owned by the government. $1 billion was borrowed from the Chinese Exim Bank. That is how it was built. But the bulk of the money that went into building that dam, it was... So when it talks about a PPP, it's a PPP between the government and its people, and then the Chinese came in. So what he's saying makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense.
However, the issue of debts, I don't see why it is we have an issue, because the maths that we keep hearing doesn't math.
It doesn't.
That debt, mahali iko,
na vile tunaambiwa tumetumia pesa.
No, it doesn't math.
Ninaweza soma messages za watu kidogo.
Yes, please.
Before you read,
Yes.
do you know why the people of Ethiopia felt confident to contribute? Because they had trust in their leaders. If you live in a country such as this one, where 11 billion just gets lost from SHA, and everyone is defensive, like hii kikombe imepotea kwa hii meza, and all of us don't know where it went.
And yet we are the
Na
only
ilikuwa hapa.
And we know the cup cannot move by
on its own, but everyone in
Somebody
this
has to move it.
Yes. Kila mtu anasema sio mimi. Sio mimi.
And we are the only four of us.
Yes, but where is the cup?
And we all know there was a cup, and now we know it's not there.
Yes.
And we also know Simiyu was sitting next to the cup.
And consequently, at that time, coincidentally, the cameras are not working. So, if you live in a country where everyone is clever to that extent, that something gets lost, but you can't find it, how do you contribute money into such a government? Let me remind you of something. You remember, immediately Ruto came in as president, we leased land in Zambia to plant maize under mythical
It was. We were told it was 40,000 acres.
Yes.
And I marveled because, do you know how big Galana Kulalo is in terms of acreage? Do you have an idea?
So on that Zambian thing, so we leased land in Zambia to plant maize, so that in case of hunger, we can use that maize to cushion ourselves.
Feed us, yes.
Do you know last week we imported maize from Zambia?
So from the farm that we
they are not saying that, but we imported maize from Zambia. Now the story about us leasing land in Zambia to plant maize is not there, but it's a story of us
importing maize.
So that's a country we are living in. Even if you are told,
our total acreage as a country is around 145 million acres. Galana Kulalu is around 1.8 million acres. So at the time I marveled, but wonder, we have all this land. Why are we going to lease land?
So it tells you that someone is selling maize to us, but telling us we have imported. This Galana Kulalu thing, when they are planting maize, they take pictures. The president goes there. You see him there. But where do they take pictures of the harvest?
You know, Joakim, there's something here about this honest conversation that I was referring to. We can trade the misses and the losses for the next hour, but it doesn't move us from something fundamental which you mentioned. And I want to juxtapose it to what Peter has been saying. Peter has explained something about a government entity that he knows. It's called the Technopolis. He works there. He's a director. So if someone doubts what he's saying, then perhaps one needs to go and visit, verify, and then come up. But then you mentioned something which, personally, I consider to be the fundamental issue you must deal with. What sort of country are we when the numbers of people in this country who cannot afford a meal and are going to go hungry today increases? What are we doing? All these things that we're doing, of what use is it if we cannot guarantee these people a meal today and then maybe 2 meals tomorrow and so forth? Now, governments that have existed after the 2010 constitution was promulgated and put into effect have a problem.
We made a mistake in 2013.
Can I just read these comments?
As we please go read the comments.
Yeah. Yes, so I'm going to start from the very top here. Kuna Edwin anauliza, good morning movie, does Konza Technopolis allow border borders? Because that will quickly turn into another Nairobi. Hiyo utajibu tukimalizia. There is the real SC amesema, everyone should watch the president's speech at CAF. Okay, but then we have Victor Lesosian again saying, actually, I saw politicians weighing money. We see what happens, Bwana. I have actually seen money being weighed, but in Somalia.
Bwana.
But
no. It's not in Somalia.
No,
it's not in Somalia.
Where?
What I'm saying
so
is...
you want me to mention names?
No. I'm not saying
that. I would love you
to mention names.
Oscar Sudi.
Okay.
Weighed money with a weighing scale. This other chairman of the security committee, anaitwa nani? Nelson Koech. There is even a video, a photo of him carrying a bundle of money in a stadium. Ndugu yangu, these are not street hijacked points. And we are here talking about austerity measures, servicing debt. We are not born.
The fellows is mentioning, these are elected members of parliament. They do not represent government in any way. Why do you feel the need?
What is government? What is government?
Government
so who are you representing here?
I am representing the executive. And the executive is the one with the mandate to manage the economy of the country. So listen, my brother, I would be offended if you are talking about somebody being given a job by the executive. But this is a person given a job through chapter 1 of the constitution. He is an employee elected and employed directly by the people of their respective constituency. Why do you think
so
that
their actions are
that's why I wanted you to come to the two individuals. I do not support whatever the two individuals have done.
Are you saying that their actions are insignificant?
I am only responsible for what I'm saying. How you interpret it, that's your business. What I am saying is this, that the two people he has mentioned, these are members of the registrator. The section, chapter 1 of our constitution says that the sovereign power of this constitution is vested on the people. They can exercise it directly or indirectly. Indirectly, the people of those constituencies elected the two individuals. They probably behaved badly on social media, but I will not sit here and allow him to equate that to be part of the government of William Ruto.
It is government of William Ruto.
You see, government of William Ruto did not elect Oscar Sudi.
Okay.
Did not elect Koech. But the point I'm saying, as city, you come.
Actually haven't finished reading
this.
Read. So where was I? Politicians weighing money. Oh yeah, Thomas Olo, sorry. Subsidies don't make sense, but State House is on spending spree. Then zingine zimejirudia hapa hivi. Let me get to one that I actually saw that is making sense, and it's something that also Nani amesema hapa hivi.
Nani means
by Nani, of course.
So Nani amesema tuendelee.
Nani huyo Nani?
Yeah. Pare Wandolo amesema hivi, food security, health and education must come first. We don't need roads for tiny exports while industries collapse, children learn under trees, and Kenyans starve without medical care. Of all the things that government is doing, the very many infrastructure projects that we can see, even affordable housing included, where is the Mwananchi's stomach in all this? Because if, again, the numbers of people who are hungry is increasing.
It's like a parent
telling
children, I painted our house. But children are saying, we have no school fees. So no, I bought a new gate. Why are you asking for school fees? Didn't you see I bought a new gate? The children are saying, but we don't have lunch. So, what do you mean you don't have lunch? I bought every one of you a new suit. Okay. We appreciate you are doing something.
You see, Joakim, the thing is, if you look at the reality of the problems we have, they are actually tied very directly to the proportion of what we generate as revenue going to paying debt.
Yes.
Because what remains cannot in any way, even if you are a magical thinker, meet the needs that we have within the budget.
From July last year, is it the last quarter of I don't know how to talk about it, but it was around from July to September.
Yeah, that was the first quarter. Yes, starts from 30th June to 30th September.
We collected to a tune of 900 billion. But debt on the same amount is an upward of 860 billion. Actually, what remains from the money we collected is 40 billion.
So we are saying that when you look at the debt, it comprises not 70, it's close to 89% of what it is that we actually collect.
Yes.
So what does that leave us with?
So the money we collected on a whole quarter cannot pay salary for government employees on 1 month. Because according to John Badi, the good minister, we need 80 billion every month to pay salaries. That's 960 billion every year. So we use 1 trillion every year to pay salaries. But the money we collect for that same period of time is not enough to pay salaries. We have government operations, we have sectors that need to be funded.
Just call it recurrent expenditure.
Yes. So, the reason why I usually doubt everything the president says he will do is because I look at what we collect and I look at debt. And I look at the money we need to do that certain project. Then I come to a conclusion that we will not be able to do it.
You know, the issue of debt, and I'm not looking at it as the problem for Kenya alone. In fact, you'll be surprised. One of the countries with the biggest external debt is Japan. In the entire world is one of the countries with the biggest external debt. The difference between Japan and Kenya and other countries, and that is one thing I agree with him, it is when they get the money, what do they do with it? That's the problem that is coming in our debt.
Their debts to GDP.
Yes. Right. It is, what do they do with the money? For instance, Japan gets money and they will go and give that money to Toyota, for instance, which is doing a lot of production and all those. You would realize if you go and look at how Japan is getting the external funding, it's not majorly for government. It is majorly for the private sector in Japan to be able to expand, because you know today, if an economy has to grow anywhere in the world, it does not grow on a merry-go-round. Merry-go-round is how we buy goods in China, come and sell, get money, get other goods in China, come and sell. For any economy to grow, you have to produce something new. Make this cup that was it was not in existence, make it exist. It is a new thing. It is a new wealth that you have created. And I think the one thing I agree with Simiyu, that when we are taking loans, we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing with it? Because primarily in the world, no government is supposed to be in business. Primarily in the world, no government is supposed to be in business. So, government is supposed to help Simiyu, supposed to help me, supposed to help city make something. Because today, if we do not work on manufacturing, which we are pushing, like for instance where I am in Konza, we have done special economic zone and export processing zone, so that we are able to ease the burden of production for those people manufacturing. We have, I think the cabinet minister for trade is heading to the US to complete the bilateral trade agreement with the US. You know that we have pushed them and they have renewed AGOA. We already have an existing trade agreement with the European Union. We are just about in a month to get a zero tariff with China, us taking goods to China and selling in China and all those things.
What goods?
Every goods. You see the point I'm trying to say,
we are
and I
sending
agree
goods.
with you.
Watch hapo.
Yes.
Amalize.
Yes.
Then we can go into the details.
Yes, So, the only thing I agree with them is two things must happen, because I can assure you this country will not survive without some sort of external help.
Yes.
Whether comes in loans, whether comes in PPP, whether comes... And I also wanted to disagree. He talked about secularization. Secularization, as much as he's saying it's a loan, secularization only applies where you have an amount of debts that you cannot be able to service. To service.
No, that's not how it works.
No, I'm saying in Kenya...
And I'm telling you that's not how it works.
Yes, in Kenya, how have we done secularization of the roads project? We took all the loans and the payments. We could not pay the contractors. You remember the contractors, like one of the problem in where I come from in the mountain was the Mau Mau roads. We could not pay contractors. Contractors went home. How are you able to get the contractors back?
Can I assist you
yes,
here?
Please do.
There was a time in this country people said they are selling KPA. That was the initial understanding of the agreements we had with certain banks. This is how securitization works. Huh? You're actually providing security for money that you're going to be given.
Yes.
For instance, the road, the fuel levy, part of it is what has securitized this Talanta stadium.
Yes.
Okay, meaning you know the amount and you can see it. Why? You know the number of cars we have in the country.
And you can predict how much you will collect.
So it provides security.
Yes.
Same with the port.
Yes.
You know the business it does daily. You know how much it generates. So you use the port and
as
that
security.
element. Yes. Not the entirety of the acreage of the port.
No.
But that income that comes in which you can identify, that's what you use. Same. You will look for something that will enable you to give, it's a guarantee to whoever is giving you money. Said, look, we need to build these roads. And you use that because the money exists.
Yes.
What you are securitizing with exists.
Yes.
You're not looking for it. You already have it.
I think at that point is where this city jumped the gun. I said, secularization only comes into place when we have what do you call illiquid and loans you cannot have. Secularization city
Peter
only came to this country, and I say this with a lot of authority, because we had too much loans we could not.
I agree.
Yes.
No, I disagree with both of you. The knowledge. Look, this is...
City, maybe I'm understanding it differently.
Please go ahead.
That we have debt, we have obligations that we can't, but we have liquidity problems.
Yes.
So you use the little you have. You go and tell them, look here, I do not have money, but I have a pot. There is these transactions, and this is the money we are able to collect in a month. So could you give me money so that you will be collecting the money from this pot for
but you're absolutely right. It's like a personal loan.
Yes.
You need to be salaried.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
What city
where we are getting, we are not understanding with city. Secularization is only being applied where we have a
but
problem.
It's still alone.
It's still alone.
Yeah, it's still
what
alone.
I am saying
all
is
three of your rights.
all
so
of
my
rights.
My point
What he's saying is
yes.
true is Mucendu, I have a loan of 10 million. I cannot service. But I have a kashamba here that gives me a production of 1.2 million. You understand?
Secularization
only happens when you are in a place you are not able to service.
So you take another loan, you borrow from Paul
like
to pay Peter.
It is just another asset.
There is
like
something that is
who are in the
and I don't want it to get lost.
Yes.
And I want us, it's good that you've agreed.
Yes.
The issue of enabling people to produce, because we can't produce on a merry-go-round. So we have a stumbling block to that effect in this country. And the stumbling block is still government borrowing from our internal market. When you look at our total loans, domestic loans are higher than external loans. So when government becomes the biggest customer to our internal lenders, it crowds out the other public. So that the ordinary person, you and me, cannot afford to take a facility from a loan because the bank prefers to loan to a government due to risk assessment issues. So when a government is borrowing from KCB at an interest rate of 16%, me and you will be given at 18 or 20 because the risk is higher with you than government. So it makes access to credit a hard toll. Or maybe if you have a closer relationship to government, you can maneuver. So that is the biggest hampering of our production. When you said you subsidized production, I was wondering how, because what are the factors of production?
Fertilizer was one way.
So what told these people that fertilizer is the only factor in agriculture? You see, some of the people do mechanical irrigation. When you are doing that, you need fuel for your generator. When fuel is expensive, it implicates, there is a knock-off effect on your cost of production at your farm. So if there is subsidy, or there is a way the government wants production to be cheaper, then you go to where the problem is, fuel and electricity.
But you see, as he puts it, when you are looking at factors of production, the question that begged and which led to the government looking at fertilizer as one-way city, it is, what is the level of mechanical production of agriculture in the country vis-a-vis the small farmers who are doing the manual production.
The subsistence farmers.
The subsistent farmers who are doing manual production are not able, and the target of subsidized fertilizer was not meant for the high-scale producer. It was meant for that small farmer out there who cannot afford, because if you are doing mechanical production and you are doing with diesel, you are on another level. Subsidy is not applying to you. It is like the same thing you saw with, it's called Hustler Fund, or Lenyota. People who are arguing what level is it going to help. And I told you the other day,
yes,
maybe if we live here, you and City, and we walk into a restaurant, and Simiyu here, we walk into a restaurant, we'll probably do a heavy breakfast and pay 15,000-20,000.
Okay.
And not feel a pinch.
I'll feel a pinch.
No, I'm just saying that.
He has said
it is an example.
He has said
it's an example.
He has said he will buy you breakfast worth 15,000. Very relaxed.
No, let Peter continue. What is making a valid one?
So I am saying that when you look at the factors of production,
yes,
it is you look at the greater good and who is going to affect more. But there is something I agree with him, and City would know because I have discussed this with him elsewhere 2 years ago on the issues of government borrowing from local banks.
Yes.
That is something I would preach every day, and I keep saying is one thing I do not support government in as Mucendu, because I remember around 2009, 2010, having just I think 2 accounts in 2 different banks, one of the fast growing bank then, they would call you. Simply because I have 30,000 in the bank, they would call you and tell you, Mucendu, we can see you have 30,000 that has been in this account for about a month or 2.
Yes.
Why don't we come? We agree we can give you 4 times
this amount
of this amount at this very good level. You go and do something. That was, in fact, if you remember, that is when the Kenya cottage industry grew tremendously.
Yes.
Because one, banks have money lying in the bank.
They auction loans. They
have nobody to give that money.
Loans.
So they even pitch tent in there.
They actually
in my got on a Sunday to come.
They got back to their primary business.
Exactly, their primary business. Yes. And therefore, on that one, I am a very staunch supporter.
So I agree that you are supporting one of our key pillars as the agenda.
So I am saying that because one of the way we will grow the economy is, I can assure you, your salary will never help you do business.
Yes.
Your salary is meant to upkeep you and sustain you, fuel your car, pay your school fees, and on 25th, you are on your knees waiting when the accountant here at
How did you
Generation
because he has been through it.
He's going to do
his lived experience.
And because you work here, it's the same thing we have just talked. It's not secularization,
yes,
but it's the same way.
It's the same concept.
You will go to the bank. I earn 50,000. I have a pay slip and I have an existing contract that has given me a job for 5 years.
Yes.
If you can give me 450,000 and be cutting 30% of my salary,
yes,
I will be able to get into business and be able to add revenue.
Okay.
But the problem, and I agree with him, I can tell you of 2 banks in this country, and I will not mention them. They are some of the biggest lenders. But they never lend. They have never, in their entire life, they have never lent that money to private sector.
Gentlemen.
Actually, so what we are saying is,
when you visit
one of the biggest achievement we can do as government, it is to intentionally and continuously cut down on our borrowing on local banks. Why am I saying so? So that you allow that bank. I have tons of money in my bank that I don't have anybody to give. So you set that bank to the drawing table. How do we get this money to earn as revenue? One, you have to first of all think of a product that is going to attract the common mwananchi. You have got to think about a product that is available and acceptable and achievable by the common mwananchi. Because you have money, you need to make interest for people like City who may have a lot of money in that bank. Then that means that the only place you will be able to take your money, it is to that local mwananchi who earns 40,000,
you will see
50,000.
You will see tents of banks in Gikomba on a Sunday.
Tumemaliza wakati wetu, unfortunately. What we shall do, because I've seen at least we are able to have an honest conversation.
Yes.
He has admitted there are some challenges in government delivery.
Very important challenges.
But what's also, yes, very important for sure. But also what I want us to do is acknowledge what has been achieved so that we can actually come to a point whereby we can see a way forward.
The achievement of government is not an achievement for the people I represent.
Aye, sawa Simiyu.
I represent people in Mukuru. So
I think also Collins should not also behave as if he represents the entire Mukuru. He could represent a few who share in his ideologies.
No. Bring this thing to an end. We had made gains here. These guys are taking us back. Yes.
Peter Mucendu, thank you so much.
You just need
Joakim Simiyu
about it.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.